One. Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, Managing Editor of Canada's Entrepreneur. Joining me today on Vancouver's podcast is Anna Romaniv, who is founder of 8 Station in Vancouver. Thanks for joining us today, Anna.
Hi. Thank you so much for invite. I'm very excited about our conversation today.
All right, let's talk first of all, 8 Station. Tell me what 8 Station is and what it does.
Okay, awesome question. H Station is a boutique rendering studio. We are located in Vancouver. We have clients all over the world, but of course, our main focus is Canada, and our majority of our clients are local. They're here in BC, Vancouver. We are focused on creating a really high quality, detailed images that look like photos. We want to make sure they actually developers they use them for marketing materials. But what do we want to make sure from our side? That those images evoke emotions and the feelings, and potential buyers, when they're looking at them, they kind of imagine themselves in that space, which actually makes it easier for them to make a choice.
When did you start this? When did you start this, Anna?
Well, A Station is only 3 years old,
Okay.
but I have experience in that for the probably last decade. I'm originally from Ukraine. I'm a trained architect, and I probably will say that entrepreneurship is something that runs in my family, and I always knew that like I didn't have any other choice. It's my default setting because everybody will do something on their own, you know.
Yeah.
And but I also, which is interesting, I always knew that business has to be built around your skill and your expertise, not only like for the sake of profit for or anything. Of course, there is no right or wrong. It's just something that resonates with me. That's why when I was in school, without exaggerating, I would say yes to every opportunity that came my way. It was really tough time for me because I have to do so much, had to do so much. But by the end of the school, I already co-founded a couple of the startups. I was involved in different businesses from beer factory to fashion magazine. Besides that, I was on the top of my class, and like I did really well at studies too. But that actually helped me to gain experience and to fill my skill bucket. After school, but again, visual stuff was always my passion. I always really cared how things they look, and even when architectural projects are presented, right? The first impression is always by the look.
Hmm.
And I went for work into architectural studio in Ukraine. I spent some time practicing there to understand the processes, how things work from inside, right? Because right now I'm creating images for architects and for developers, but I actually was on the other side of the process. And when I moved to Canada 5 years ago, I already was a seasoned 3D artist myself. I had experience in architecture, in marketing, in entrepreneurship. And when I came here, I actually saw an opportunity, a niche here for that, for a few reasons. First one was because there were not really, to like frankly speaking, not really high standard for 3D images here. And the second thing that I noticed, which was actually the cause for why the images are not really great, because the market was so high, so quick, so overinflated that they actually didn't need images for that. Everything would just sell.
Hmm.
And that was really interesting because I always try to think strategically and think for a few steps in the future. And in the back of my heart, I understood that it's not going to be like that always. Because the economy, when we look at the history, it kind of tends to balance itself, right? And I knew that like sooner or later than later, we'll need better images here.
Hmm.
So that's kind of was the idea behind Aid Station, how to start it.
And sorry, what the images are of what kind of a product? What kind of real estate?
All of them. To be honest, right now we are pretty famous in the west of Vancouver, because right now we have a lot of duplexes and fourplexes there. So we did a bunch of them there. but it's also high-rise buildings. It's commercial premises. Everything, every idea, to be honest, every real estate idea that needs to be solved, we render it first before it's built. So we kind of have a privilege to see it at the very beginning.
So retail restaurants as well?
Yep.
Okay. Where does the name Eight Station come from?
I love it. I love the question and I love the name, obviously. So for the state, I started looking for the names, right? And from the very beginning, I was just the one artist here, right? But I never treated myself as a freelancer or anything. I always knew it's a business and I'm a part of the business, which is A Station. And, you know, many studios, I analyzed the marketing, I analyzed my competitors, and usually it's a studio, it's a boutique, it's a bureau, it's some other synonym. And I thought, okay, what if we do station? It's a station when person comes, right? And like it's a station, it's a place, it's a craftsmanship place where you can get something. So that's how the station comes along. And for the eight, I will be very easy on this answer. I just really like this number. I have birthday on February 8th. And it's a very beautiful shape. It's very fluid shape. It's very flexible. It's something that kind of reflects our values. So that it how it stick around.
Wow. So what made you come to Canada? I'm assuming you left Ukraine and came directly to Vancouver?
Yes, it's actually my love made me do that because my husband, he's also originally from Ukraine, but we started our relationship back in Ukraine and he moved to Vancouver for his job.
Oh,
And eventually I joined him here.
okay then. And obviously, like you moved before the war started, right?
Luckily, yes.
Yes. Do you have a lot of family there still?
I do have lots of family there. People there are a great inspiration for me because they live through really, really tough times. And besides that, they still very resilient. They find the happiness in every day. And it is something that is really worth the respect.
Yeah, yeah. What when you started your business there, what was the biggest challenge you faced, do you think?
um, the very initial challenge was to find the first client. Because, right, I'm in a new country, almost all alone. I don't know anybody here, and nobody knows me, which is more importantly. And it was really, really challenged to find those first clients. And this is my skill, saying yes to everything helped me. Now I don't do that anymore. But back in the days, it was very helpful because I would first of all I was present. I was going to the conferences. I was networking to people with people. I was building those connections, not for the sake of selling something, but just to know people. Like just building genuine connections. Then I did a lot of cold callings and like outreach through emails. To be completely honest with you and with the listeners, I would do it was tremendous amount of work. It could be around 200 or like 500 emails per day that I did. They
Wow.
were personalized. It's just not like random stuff. I would go to the website, see how can I help them, talk about their specific cases and projects. And I would get probably one or two responses back. It was very stressful, very demotivating, but you have to keep pushing. So I did. And to be honest, from those like emails, I actually got one response back, and that was the client that I actually had been working with for a couple of years later on. But anyway, coming back to the question of the challenge, it was really challenging to find the client. But saying yes to every opportunity. Why do I say it? Because I got an email from the client seeking for somebody who can do the 3D renderings for their product. And they were very small project, very small quote, anything. And of course I took it. But what they told me on the call, they told me, you're not the first studio we wrote. Like, sorry, you are good. But the first studios would reject us. They said, you're too small, we don't have time, and blah, blah. But I said yes to them. And what happened? To be honest, I love them. They're my favorite client because first of all, they referred me to a bunch of different people.
Mm.
And you never know who can do that.
Yeah.
And what is very interesting, I think half of the year later, they got acquired by a really big company. They came back to me to do the renderings for this big company. And that project is the biggest project so far for us we ever took.
Wow.
So yeah, I would say it's never underestimate the project.
Yeah, well, that's a fascinating story. I guess you know the lesson there is you know you never know, right? You just
know.
with who you meet and who you become a client with, what transpires down the road, I guess, right?
You should not judge people again by your probably personal preferences or personal beliefs, and you should treat everybody with the same respect, with the same priority, and that is something we do at our studio till this day, and we'll always do that.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, when you started the business, how old were you?
Okay, I was how old I am now? I think I was 24.
Wow.
And you know what I did? I actually was a little bit embarrassed by that. So I will be honest today, and I will do the coming out that people actually would ask about my age all the time. And I would always say a couple of years later than I actually was. I would say I'm 20, I'm 27.
Wow. So what advice would you give a young entrepreneur that's in their mid 20s, mid to late 20s about starting a business?
um, I have many. Probably the one that comes on the top of my mind. That's first of all, it's realizing what entrepreneurship is. The first step is admitting. You have to admit it's a lifestyle, it's not a job.
Yeah.
Right? You at the beginning, you'll have to work very hard. You'll have to be fully present, fully dedicated for that to make it happen. Then probably invest in the team because team is very, very important. You cannot do all of everything yourself. Everything I have right now, of course, there is a part of my persistence, but I also very, very grateful for my team because it wouldn't be possible. So invest in the team and, interview people for a long time. I mean, not for a long time, but, thoroughly before you take them into your team, because those first people you take in the team actually will lead the direction, right? Because it's only a few of you there.
Yeah.
But its input is so important. So it's probably first is entrepreneurial persistence. Then it's the team. And the third one, okay, that's not only entrepreneurship, not only about entrepreneurship, but it's something that I really want to share, and maybe somebody will find it useful. And it's useful not only to the creatives, but I think it's relevant to everybody. Seek for the feedback. But when you have this feedback, pay attention to the message, not the messenger. Because, sometimes we can be a little bit subjective. We hear those nuances, the tone. Maybe we don't like the person who is giving us the feedback, right? We are addressing all of our energy into defending ourselves. But, when we forget about all of this and just take a look at the plain, simple words at the text, and then we can perceive it more objectively, and we may find gold there. So I would say pay attention to the message, not the messenger.
Yeah, interesting. What do you like about running a business in Vancouver?
That's a great question. First of all, I love Vancouver. I'm a Vancouver ambassador. But overall, first one is people here, right? It's the very respect, we have mutual respect. We have work-life balance here. We have respect for the timelines and everything. It's very, very important.
Mm.
At the same time, sometimes it can be a downside because it can affect the timeline revision time, the revision timeline and turnaround. Because, for example, which is really interesting because it's different across all of the Canada, and I'm still not sure why, but in Vancouver, the feedback turnaround time, it's feedback turnaround time, just to be completely clear, it's when we send the image to the client and we are waiting for the revision from the client, the feedback.
Yeah.
It's 2-4 weeks. But for example, at the same time in Calgary, the longest I have waited is 3 days.
Mm.
So I am still not sure. Maybe I'll tell you later why is that, but it is something that I've noticed.
Yeah. It's an interesting vibe, right? Because some people will tell you that, especially Calgary, you get things done and you get things done fast. And whereas if you're in a government town, like if you're in a Victoria or if you're in a Edmonton or in an Ottawa or whatever, the pace may be a little different, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just I know it's all anecdotal, but it just seems to be the case. But you know, when you look at like your work, where do you get say the inspiration for from stuff where does the inspiration come? Just in the middle of nowhere and it just pops in the
That's a very, actually, very right question to ask the creative person. And I think I might sound controversial right now, but for me, the biggest inspiration comes from discipline and from work. It's there shouldn't be, I believe that there shouldn't be any, okay, of course, the motivation can be there, but it's not going to do the job. It's not going to find you an inspiration. It has to be discipline. You have to be very persistent in your work. You have to show up. You have to, every day, even if you don't want to do that. And to be honest, in this process, when you're disciplined and organized, you kind of like always have the inspiration. That's the first part of my answer. And the second one would be, um, you know, it comes from the research we do before we start the work.
Mm.
Because when we create the images, they're not only based on our personal experiences, on our previous, I don't know, something we saw. It is also based on the marketing research we have. We
Mm.
have the research, who is the buyer?
Yeah.
Where is this buyer going for a walk? What brands they like? What movies they watch? And based on that, we kind of approach it as some sort of therapist or psychologist. We think of the person who is going to live in there,
Yeah.
and we create a perfect space for it. So it's kind of probably one of the most inspiring things about our work. Just imagine and think of the lifestyle of the people who are going to live in this room or who are going to visit this restaurant, and what are they going to order there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. So I'm curious, when you're working, do you find you can get into like a zone? You know what I mean? Like certain, athletes get into that
Mhm.
where they're just in the zone and just nothing bothers them or affects them, and it's just like everything just goes smoothly, right?
Yeah, it's when I worked as an artist, because obviously now, unfortunately, I don't have time to create images. But when I worked as an artist, it was much easier. You're like really zoning in. You're just in there. You don't notice anything. You don't know how much time. Like what is the time? I'm not sure if you have watched the Soul cartoon by Disney.
No.
Oh, it's such a beautiful movie. I really recommend you watching it. It's about the purpose of life. So the character there, he was I'm not sure, he probably played piano or something. He was the musician, and it's actually about the zone and the flow when you
Yeah.
don't notice anything. I actually had it, but when I started to have a team, lots of clients, project managers, marketing specialists, it became really, really hard to find the zone because everybody messages you like every minute of your day. You always have to, you have to um, juggle like between many things, and your attention as a founder has to be very dispersed, but at the same time, you have to stay productive. So that is actually one of the skills I gained as a business owner, to actually have those short focus sessions and actually to be able to switch between them like really quickly.
Ah, interesting. Now, do you do you still, as a business owner, do you still spend a lot of time in the actual doing of the job, or is your role now more of your time just spent on the business side of things, running a company?
Yeah, actually, I would say running a company first.
Yeah.
And it was one of the other challenges I faced, that you have to admit and accept that now you're not only, and especially in the beginning, because of course now I have a team, and I actually gave more responsibilities to other people because I cannot do all alone. But in the beginning, right, you have to be an accountant, you have to be a sales manager, you have to be a marketing person, you have to do the renderings as well. So you have to like manage a lot of different responsibilities. But even now, as a founder, as a business runner, I actually still have to continue filling my skill packets in many different industries. Even though I have a marketing specialist, I still have to understand things about marketing when making the decision. Same thing about the renderings. I don't do the renderings from start to finish anymore. But when the image comes my way, after it has already been checked by the manager, by the artist, by the art director, I still take a look at this and make sure it meets the quality standard we strive. So yeah, actually, I do most of the time. I do the business running thing, but it still involves every different aspect, every different room of our house.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, interesting. What you look into the future, where do you want the company to go in the next few years?
That's a question that I have been thinking about a lot, right? But first of all, I really want to stay about the quality first,
Hmm.
right? Because I don't want to scale for the sake of scaling. As I mentioned in the beginning, the business is more about the skill and expertise than the
Mm.
just the profit, which is, don't get me wrong, it's very important, right? We are all here want to make a lot of money, but that's the skill. I want to make sure Aid Station continues to set the tone and raise the bar on the market of the 3D images, not only in Canada, but maybe in North America overall. I want to be a like to go and leader on this market, to go partner for the developers and architects, but which is also really, really important. I want to pursue the style of leadership I currently have, which is, I would say, soft and kind leadership, which is really based on the empathy and well-being of the team. And it's actually a great book. I'm not sure if you have read it. It's Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek.
Hmm.
It's a really good book that actually supports my beliefs. Uh, and this is something that I want to pursue. And I want to be also known not only as a brand Aid Station for my clients, but as a brand Aid Station for my employees and for my future employees, as a nice place to work.
Hmm. Interesting. All right. Well, wonderful. I appreciate you taking the time, Anna. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I hope that the listeners will find some of the insights I shared today useful in their practice.
All right, wonderful. That was Anna Romaniv, and sorry, and she is founder of 8 Station in Vancouver. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, managing editor of Canada's Entrepreneur. Thanks for joining us today.